Horizons with
With Deb and
Jim.
Hola, buenos dias, good morning.
Buongiorno a
Hello.
tutti, benvenuti. We're so
It's
happy to
so
be with
good to be
you.
back.
And I'm
Yes.
wearing purple today. Deb's
Yes.
favorite
I
colors.
love it. Lavender. You look so
Lavender.
handsome.
Thank
You
you.
really, he always looks great, but you really look favorite
Look at
color.
the jewelry.
My jewelry, my
Yes.
earrings, my necklace.
Pretty.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
and,
Well,
and the Zsa Zsa hair.
and the Zsa Zsa
Zsa Zsa
hair, of
Gabor.
course. You never really see me wear it down because it's a lot easier just to put it up in a clip and spray away.
Well, we like the love it. We love it, love it, love it.
Anyway, we're delighted to be here. We're glad you're joining us. And I'm going to turn it over to Jim, and
Well,
we're
we
going to.
wanted to thank Marianne because she came up with a suggestion for a topic, and
Yes,
it really is warming our hearts.
Mary and Cassidy Collins, thank you.
Thank
As
you.
you all know, we reach out to you every week, and we always ask for you to give us your thoughts, give us
Yes.
topics that you'd like us to speak about, and we are here to do so. So, Marianne, you said this a few weeks ago. We're just now getting in the grasp of everybody's request, and her decision or her thought was maybe your parents or somebody in your life who said something to you that stayed within your heart that really made an impression, a difference in your life.
Yes,
So
and it remains with you all
Jim
throughout your
came
life.
up with lasting
Lasting
impressions.
impressions.
So that's our topic today, lasting impressions. So again, Marianne,
Thank you,
thank
Marianne.
you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Yes.
it.
So Jim,
Well, I
take it
thought we
away.
would talk about our parents, the
Yes.
earliest impressions that we had from our parents.
oh, I'll tell you, you know, you might have heard me say before in the past, one thing that has always remained in my heart and soul is my dad.
Yes.
When he would say, Deb, when things go good, when things are bad, when things are happy, when things are sad, pray every day and don't lose your faith. It's so important in life.
Beautiful.
And
It is.
it
Prayer.
really and truly has gotten me through the years, good, bad, happy, sad. Dad, I love you, mwah, and I
Yes.
miss you so much. And my mom was the same way, lasting impressions. My mom would say to me, honey, your strength comes from within you. And she'd point to my heart, she'd say, within you.
That's
That is
true.
where
How
your
true.
strength is. And it is so true. And so when I get down or if I'm even happy, I just think, Mom, Dad, thank you so much. Lasting impressions. And that goes for, like I said, anybody else. If you let me ramble on, poor Jim won't get a word.
One of the first of my mother, I remember, she said, never hit a girl.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a bad no.
Because, well, naturally, when you think of it, men are usually larger, stronger than women, and to raise your hand to a girl, you should never do that. And that was always ingrained in my
Yeah.
thought process. And even now, when on the movies or on TV, when you see a man raise his hand to a woman, you cringe inside just the thought that someone would take that act
I
and
know,
do that.
and some women hit men too.
Yeah.
But that's
Well, violence,
That's
but-
not. Yeah,
but
it's not a good thing.
But
No.
I always thank my mother for that because it was really
Angelina,
yes,
your mom. I love the name
Angelina.
Angelina. Beautiful.
And
Beautiful.
then my father had passed away when I was 15. So 16, 17, we were
Mm.
with my sister at home. And came time for me to go to Cornell University. And my mother had a conversation with me because now I was going to be out on my own. So that it's a little frightening for a parent to
Sure,
have the
of course.
child leave. So she always said to me, which I still think about today, you have a moral compass inside of you. All of these I was 17 at the time, of 17 years of the relationship with your parents, we've taught you certain things. You have a moral compass. Deep down inside,
So
when you have
true.
to make a decision, you're going to feel inside, is it the right thing really to do?
Exactly.
And don't do anything that makes you feel
Right.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I know Greg would say to me too of certain things, last impressions. He said one day, and it just as simple as this: when in doubt, don't.
Right.
So when in doubt, don't. So Greg, honey, thank you for that.
And especially
And-
when you think about college students,
Yeah.
when they're away from home, you're so many influences, and you have to make a decision: will I do this
Mm-hmm.
or not? Will I drink alcohol? Will I take drugs? And inside the right
Right.
thing to do, and what makes you feel comfortable. Even with a relationship, that develops intimately. Where do you proceed, and when do you hold back, and just how do you relate to the other person? Just so many decisions that you have to make.
So many is
Yeah.
correct, absolutely, and you don't realize until you sit down and you analyze it in your mind. Wow.
Yeah.
And
So I used to call my mother
impressions.
Mama Gina,
Yeah, I know.
short for Angelina. So thank you, Mama Gina,
Mama Gina, we love you.
for
That
giving
was
me
so
that moral
sweet.
compass discussion.
Holly, my younger sister, calls me Mama Leone. She said, "You take her after Mom. You're the Mama Leone of the family." Okay,
Well,
Mama Leone.
that was a famous restaurant in New York, Mama
Yeah,
Leone's.
yeah.
Yes.
Always Leone's, yeah. So always taking control. I mean, and I don't know if that has a lot to do with us not having children or just it's embedded within me.
Right.
That's what it is. It's just embedded. And you know, I was thinking back to my school years because most of my school years I went to Catholic school, Good Shepherd in New York City, and I'll never forget one nun. I wrote it down. She says, "Always be humble and kind to because God sees all,
Right.
and do unto others as you want them to do to you." And she was all the nuns were nuns, and they were really nuns back then. I mean, but strict. And I'm
Yes.
glad. I'm so happy to this day for the strictness that they had, and for keeping us all on track. The everything about the Catholic schooling back then was tremendous.
And there's a lot to be said for humility, to be humble.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Consider other people's feelings and don't put yourself above everybody else.
Always, always be humble, be kind, absolutely. And one other person that means a lot, lasting impressions when I first met Jim, and he still says it to this very day, and I love it, and I love him so much for it. Keep smiling.
Yes.
And every time I hear him say that, all the years of our friendship, I'm thinking to myself, he's just never changed. He's just been that way, dynamic from day one. Keep smiling with that positivity from the get-go. That's just how you are, and I think it's wonderful. So your
Thank you, I
impressions, your
appreciate that.
lasting
Yes.
impressions, you know, when my dad saying keep the faith, my mom, everything that we're discussing right now. So whoever it is in your life, your siblings,
Right.
a neighbor, a stranger at a supermarket, wherever you may go.
Yeah, my father,
Yeah.
well, one of the basic ones, as we've discussed before, was him not being able to be an attorney, and I took on that in my mind, the role that I
Right.
wanted to be an
Right.
attorney. And he always would say to me, when I
Mhm.
expressed that, you might want to be a tax attorney because it's very lucrative and it's
Yeah,
you're helping
yeah,
people.
yeah.
But I started to take accounting courses, and I realized I don't really like tax work, so I never became a tax attorney.
How much fun!
But
Woo!
what great advice that was.
Well, you're an outstanding real estate attorney,
Okay,
no doubt
thank you.
about that.
Thank
I
you.
don't know what Illustrated would do, the Kai's company. I mean, honestly, we're just so blessed to have you.
And then when I was a young child, my father, in Italian, there's an expression, if you play with your hands, you can get in trouble. Because when
I
you
like
think
that,
about rough
actually.
housing, unconsciously, if children are fighting with their hands,
Right.
you can hurt someone. And I still remember,
Psychologically, it makes sense.
and,
yeah.
and also physically,
Right.
you might not realize if you push someone, they could fall and trip over something and have a
Right.
serious injury. So one of my friends, we were playing one time, and the pickup sticks, remember those?
Oh, my niece's growing up with her Uncle Greg. She adored pickup. And we
Yes.
played all the time, sure, pickup
Well, would you
sticks.
believe one of my friends took one of those sticks
Uh-oh,
and
don't
put it
tell
in
me.
the ear of the other friend
Oh,
and
no.
almost pierced his
Ooh, ooh.
eardrum.
And
You know,
they're so sharp, yeah.
yeah, and a child
Yeah,
doesn't really
yeah.
think the outcome of their
course
action.
not, no.
So
Why
that's
would they?
playing with your hands. You know,
Right.
he took that
Playing with your
instrument
hands, right.
and put it in his ear. Playing with his hands could lead to trouble. In Italian, it's actually evil. It could be evil. So I always thought of that, and it's still stuck in my mind.
Isn't it funny
when
how
I-
it's to this day
when I
sticks to
see
your mind?
children
Yeah.
that are roughhousing a lot and they don't really realize the outcome that
Right,
could
right,
happen.
right.
So
Yeah.
make sure you tell your children to be careful, and be conscious about that. Another thing, my father knew I was a runner, so he always had me emulate Jim Ryan, who was a famous runner when I was a teenager. And I think it's important for us to have people that we focus on who are excel in a certain field
Mm-hmm.
and try to emulate the aspect of them.
Always.
That,
It's
you
very
know,
important,
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate that he did introduce me to Jim Ryan, that runner.
That's
from
nice.
Years ago, yes.
It's interesting. When you think about lasting impressions, you maybe want to think about paying somebody a compliment, if there's a genuine reason to do so.
Yes.
Make their day and tell them so,
Yeah.
if need be. Say thanks often.
And then I was thinking about
Give generosity, give generously rather, and just be unique, be yourself,
Right.
be authentic, because people will know and people will see. So that's where your lasting impressions begin, and that's where they stay, and that's where they end up throughout the rest of your life,
Right.
through another or a situation at hand. So
And then teachers have been very relevant in
Yes,
our lives and
very
have given
relevant.
us lasting impressions. One in
Mhm.
particular, I think I mentioned him before, a homeroom teacher his name was Mr. Valderrama from Cuba. And he would tell us,
Valderrama.
he escaped Castro's Cuba. And he would tell us how to cherish freedom, and that always is in the back of my mind.
Nice.
How we have to appreciate the freedoms that we have, because they can be taken away from us. And just
Oh,
as
yeah.
Cuba, those poor Cubans, naturally Batista was not the greatest leader at the time, but for Castro to take
Yeah,
over and then
yeah.
impose socialism and communism and take away those people's rights. And Mr. Valderrama actually saw people in the streets being shot by the soldiers,
Oh,
Castro's soldiers,
oh,
who would
oh.
not pledge allegiance to Castro. I mean, that's why he left the country when he saw what was happening.
Unbelievable.
And he would tell us those stories, and it left a lasting impression. So thank you, Mr. Valderrama, because I
Valderrama,
do
yes.
appreciate our
I
freedom
love that
that we
name,
have.
Valderrama.
Yes.
I like that. And our impression matter. They really matter to us, to everybody else. And don't make snap judgments. Be, again, authentic. Be who you are.
Yes.
It's so important. You know, people feel good or if they feel bad. When you influence people both, you know, consciously and subconsciously, it really does matter. It truly does. So this is a great topic to talk about. And
one of my
you know,
first employers, her name was Ann Struven. It was a company that specialized in trademark law, so I was learning that's a very specialized area of law. Names of products, so we would do the
Trademark,
research to
mhm.
determine if you wanted to call something, let's say, cozy cushion, you have to make sure there's no one else using that term.
Right.
Or Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you know, those are all trademarks. And she always said to me, because I was just starting there in my career, nothing succeeds like success. And what she was saying
that's
was,
so important. Nothing
even
succeeds
though
like
you're at the
success.
beginning of your career, if you dress professionally and
Mhm.
you act confidently, that air of success, people are attracted to that, and they'll want to do business with you.
Absolutely,
It doesn't. You don't
absolutely.
have years and years of experience.
Right. So true,
You
Jim.
just
so true.
you just give the appearance of success, and people really want to
That's
work with
right.
you, and that's so important, I believe.
I wrote down a quote. I like the quote of Oscar Wilde that says, "Be yourself. Everyone else is taken."
That's true.
I love it. Sometimes we get caught up in trying to impress, and we forget to show our true selves. And
It's funny
we
you should
hold
say
back
that.
opinions, we squash our creative ideas, and we downplay our personalities for all of the fear of being judged or misjudged. And that's silly. Be all that you can be. Remember the commercial? Be all that you can be because we need you in the army. Remember that?
Yes.
But be all that you can be. Your best is the best you can do, so leave it at that. And could you imagine if we had to jump into a machine and zoom ahead like a time capsule, and your current decision will turn out your choices that you made for the day?
Right.
What would happen? Would you really want to know? I mean, do you know how disgustingly successful we would all be? I mean, think about
yes.
that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Wow, and that's because life is not about, being right every time.
Right.
It's about learning and evolving. And don't agonize over a decision by any means. And just, process the following. Follow it ahead in your mind. And just do your very best.
And then I had a friend in law school. It was funny because at the time I was working because I needed to earn some money, and I was working in a department store,
Oh, okay.
men's department, men's clothing.
That's why it's such a sharp dresser today.
It was called Forbes and Wallace back then
Forbes
in
and
Springfield,
wow,
Massachusetts.
yeah.
And I met a gentleman who became a friend. His name is Jack Warren, and he would. I was married at the time, and he was telling me that marriage, usually you talk about 50-50, but really there are times when one of the spouses is not going to be able to be that 50%.
True.
There could be health issues, there could be issues at work.
Very good point.
So sometimes you have to be 70-30. You have to be the 70 and allow the other one to be 30.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to be 100%.
That's
and
such
allow
a
that
good
person.
point. I was
Isn't it?
just discussing that with a girlfriend of mine, and how relationships, when there's financial issues, when there's health issues,
Right.
it happens. It's something that we have to just grab a hold of and deal with and do the best that we can.
Right.
But what you just said was spot on,
Yes.
because, it's a partnership for sure.
Yes.
You want to give,
Right.
by all means, giving. And there's giving and taking, but there are times that, your partner is not going to be up to 50-50.
Right.
You have to be the 70 and let them be the 30.
Right.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
And really, so that stuck with
Great
me
point.
all throughout my life, because
I
it's
love
true
it.
in all relationships.
Yeah.
Even with a friendship. There were going to be ups and downs in friendships, and you just have to say, well, my dear friend
Right.
is going through a difficult time. I'll be the 60 or 70% and allow that person to recede from
And
the
that is so
participation
sweet
or
and so
whatever it
nice.
is.
And
Yes.
when you have that in a friendship, don't lose it, because it's so valued more than, it's like make deposits. Think about going to the bank and making a deposit.
Right.
Make more deposits than you would withdrawals
Right.
in life.
That's beautiful.
You know, it's just like a bank. Every exchange and interaction that you have is like a deposit or withdrawal, basically. So feel energized too after working with you. People want to feel energized after working with you and speaking to you and hearing from you.
And then
Yeah.
my beloved Barbara always said,
Aw.
surround yourself with positive people, which is so
Absolutely.
important. You don't want those negative people in your life dragging you down.
It really does, to me, influence my way of thinking, my feeling for the day.
Right.
You know, my environment, my ambiance is so very, very important to me.
Because you don't
And,
want your energy drained out of you by these
Right.
negative people and negative comments.
And sometimes you just, if you have to walk away, hey, listen, you
Yes.
gotta do what's good for you.
Yes.
So be it. If you
Or
need to
try to
walk away.
interject positivity to
There
them.
you go,
know,
interject.
try
And-
to make them realize that
Right.
they're in a negative mood. Like I think we discussed before when you say, how are you today? And some people say, can't complain. I always laugh inside and say,
Oh,
please say
that's so
something more positive than can't complain. Or I
Could
say,
you- how are you today? Lousy, how are you?
And I say to those people, do you want to complain? I'll listen. I'll listen.
Okay, I'm here to listen. Alrighty. One easy tip that you could try is giving the person you are speaking with your full attention.
Yes,
Okay?
that's true.
I often find people distracted, so true, in their own thoughts. And, you know, and that's fine. I mean, we're human. We have having a conversation with someone. Give your undivided attention, if you would, because it's important. You know, don't just be there to be there. Be there to care, to share.
Right.
And look the person in the eyes. Don't be wandering all over the place. Oh, really? Okay, as they're talking, you're going like this. Don't do that. Give the genuineness of yourself. And be all you can be. I'm going to stress that. Be all you can be. To make lasting impressions, that is what it takes, and that's really as simple as it is.
And I mentioned my Aunt Nancy before.
Yes.
And I think did you have an Aunt Nancy?
And Aunt
is
Nancy
that?
in Washington, D.C., yes. Very close.
Remember,
too.
she's the one that, when I was mowing the lawn.
I love that story. Don't stop there. Continue, she said, right?
And I don't think I mentioned to the viewers, this was an area where you didn't have hedges along the neighbors' boundary lines. It was just your lawn going into their lawn.
Uh-huh.
So when I would mow the lawn, she would come out and say, "Don't stop at the property line.
I
Go
love
over to
it.
the neighbor."
And as I said, that is so considerate.
So when you think of
Very
that,
considerate.
it's go the extra mile. You
Right.
know, don't always just do what has to be done. Exceed what has to be done in certain
Right.
things in your life. You know that you're.
I guess you
engaging.
could say inch by inch, it's a cinch, yard by yard, it's hard.
Right.
There
Right.
you go.
Right.
I'm a poet, don't you know it? No.
So
But
if,
it's
if you
true.
can help
It's true.
somebody, do so, because we all need help from other people. We're not
Lasting,
islands
we're
alone.
talking lasting impressions
Yes.
from day one, our kindergarten years, our preschool years, our junior high, grammar, the whole 9 yards, that really do stay with us, and they mold us into who we are, and,
and
really
please
helps
share your
tremendously.
lasting impressions with us.
That's
We'd love to hear
exactly
them
what
in
we're
the
here for.
comments.
Absolutely.
And if it's a topic you want us to discuss, we'd love to do that in the future.
Such as Marianne, you've been great, Marianne, about setting us topics, and everybody has, and we're, like I said, we're going to get to each and every one of your topics each and every week and do the very best we can. So, but keep them coming, by all means. We want to hear.
And-
We love doing this, and we're here for you.
And one of my most recent lasting impressions, a couple of years ago, I heard an orthopedic surgeon speaking. He was just speaking about health and how to have healthy joints and your
Oh, boy.
body over health. Okay, so then at one point he said, the piece of advice I want to give you is when you take your pants off, sit down, because a lot of his patients fall when they're taking their pants down or putting the pants on. So sit down when you're putting your pants on
sit
or
down.
taking them off.
Don't stand. That's funny.
Because you could lose your balance and fall,
You could
and a
lose
lot
your
of
balance.
people actually
That's
do
so,
that.
you know something? That's almost happened to me a few times.
Yes.
I hate to say it, but it's true. I'll be in the closet rushing out. I'm like, oh my gosh, my foot might, I don't know, might have gotten stuck. What
So
happened?
you all remember that when you take your pants off, sit
Sit
down.
Don't stand, sit.
And we love being here with all of you.
We most certainly do.
So we have a new song we want to sing for you
That's
today.
right, and it's called
We love,
being here with
by
you.
Peggy Lee, the famous
all of
singer.
you who know Peggy Lee. We love the
The East.
East.
We love the West.
Oh, I forgot my
the North
tambourine.
and South.
The North and South.
They're
They're both the best. But we only want to go there as guests because we love being here with you. We love the sea.
We love the shore.
We love the rocks. And what is more, with you there,
there'll never be a bore
because we love being here with you. Singing
in the shower, laughing by the hour. Life is such a breezy game. Love all kinds of weather, long as we're together.
We love to hear you say our name. We love good wine. We love cuisine, good cuisine, fine cuisine, and candlelight. We like the scene. But baby, if you know what we mean, we love being here with you. We love being here with you. All right, we love being here with you.
Some of our new songs, because we do love being here with you.
We most certainly do, absolutely.
Now, I can't go a viewing without speaking about Marie Pinchmet.
Marie, here we go.
Lasting impressions. This is once again, out of my mind and into your hearts.
She's got so much beautiful
Thank you,
material
Marie.
in that
Yes.
book.
This is
Wonderful.
This is a lasting impression that one of her friends made with her. Okay, so Marie writes, "Have you considered the importance of memories? My friend before Christmas made this comment to me: Marie, don't buy me a Christmas gift. Give me a memory."
Oh,
Isn't that
I
beautiful?
love that. I love that. Oh, I love that.
And then
Don't
Marie-
buy me, give me a memory. That sounds like my
Right.
mother. Something
Isn't
my
that
mother
beautiful?
would say. Oh, is it ever? My
So-
mother would always say, oh, I'm sorry. Go
So
ahead.
Marie goes on to
love
say
it. Isn't
that
it-
this woman, this friend, had a knack for making people think more deeply about life, which is so
Beautiful.
important.
Mhm.
Because gifts, of course we appreciate the gift, but the memory is what lasts with us for
That's
for
right.
our whole life.
Absolutely. Without our beautiful memories, where would we be? Oh, yes. I love this, Marie.
So Marie goes on to say, the words of my friend made me think about past years and my memory of certain events. It also made me think of how object-oriented we have become.
Oh,
Once
so
the
true.
newness wears off or the thrill is gone, but special moments with those we love can last a lifetime. Thank you,
Oh,
Marie.
Marie, that's
I love that in
awesome.
that essay.
And I didn't mean to interrupt. I just said it took me so by
Yes.
that comment because
Yes.
it sounds something my mother would say.
Right.
Always, in fact, she would say, Deb, don't buy me a Mother's Day gift. You're my daughter. I love you. Do you know how much I love you? Just you being here and my love for you and our love for each other. That's all I
That's
need.
what my mother said too.
Really?
See, I think
And
that's a
honest to
mother's
goodness, and she
feeling.
was like that with all of us. Don't worry about a gift. But I'll tell you what, she'd make sure that she had tons of gifts for you.
Yes.
She was just amazing. So,
Yes.
Marie, I love that.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's those memories that we make with each other that are
And
so
it brings
special.
so much
And we have beautiful
sunshine.
memories of all of our shows with you.
Yes, we
Thank
sure
you.
do. We're so grateful for those memories. I said to Jim, we don't have to do this, but it's a nice song, being that we're trying to be uplifting and making impressions.
And we have sunshine behind us
We
in our
do
Bright
have
Horizons
sunshine. It's a
wall.
beautiful Friday day as well here in South Florida. We like to say, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much we love you. Please don't take our sunshine away." The other night, dear, while we were sleeping, I dreamed we held you in our arms. When we awoke, dear, we were mistaken. So we hung our head and cried. You are our sunshine, our only sunshine. You make us happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much we love you. Please don't take our sunshine away.
You're our sunshine. We love being here with you.
All right, okay, we had to get that win in, and we did. So you are our sunshine.
It's funny that quote that you said from Oscar Wilde. I have this whole book of quotes.
Yes, yes.
And
Uh-huh.
his is in here. His is one of them.
You would, I
But I
still
also
have
wanted
the,
to mention.
calendar, yeah.
I wanted to mention another one today because I thought it was very interesting. This is George Burns, now a comedian.
Oh, I love George
We love
Burns.
comedians,
Oh,
right?
Yes.
So
Love
this
him.
is what he would say: "Look to the future, because that is where you'll spend the rest of your life."
That's right. That is
Thank
exactly
you, George.
where you will spend the rest of
He's
your
up
life.
in heaven. Yes, thank you, George.
Oh, yes, George Burns. He lived until 100. Am I mistaken? It was 100
I
years
think
old?
he was 100.
The Gracie and George Burns
Oh,
show. What a
I
funny
loved it.
show.
I loved
What a
it.
funny show. We talked about the roast last week and all the funny shows.
She
Oh,
was
my
very
gosh.
talented. Sometimes you minimize Gracie Allen, but
Oh,
she.
do not. She was very
really-
talented, very, very sharp, very astute lady.
And
Very.
now, look at how interesting it was that he was devastated naturally by her
Oh,
death.
of course.
But
of
he was
course.
able to sustain a career on his own after she passed.
And I thought that was going to be difficult for him,
Yes.
but he did a fabulous job
And-
because her strength, I think, and memories just kept him going.
And remember that movie where he played God? It was so
Oh,
funny.
it was God 1 and God 2 he played,
Yes.
right? Two movies. Funny. I am God.
And he knew how to channel his comedy.
He knew exactly.
As he got older. He played a lot upon his age. and his love for younger women. I mean, it was just a great routine that he developed.
What a
over time.
great, I mean, the Gracie and George Burns show, what a funny show. And he was so serious. And she'd look at him and say, well, George, it was just only the two of them can get it right
Yes.
because it just worked for the two of them. It most
And
certainly
I
did.
do want to mention my dear cousins, Francis, Bernie, and Cindy, who watch us every week. I received the most beautiful thank you this week from Fran, and I really appreciate that. It really touched my heart that you took the time, a handwritten thank you card,
See,
which
that's
we all
wonderful,
appreciate.
Fran. That's beautiful.
And it
We
really
discussed
warmed my
that.
heart.
It
Yes.
takes, to me, that is special. If you take the time, whatever it may be, you've taken that time. It's
Yes.
wonderful to send that email. Don't get
Yes.
me wrong, it's wonderful
Or
to
a
send that
telephone
text.
call,
Or a telephone call. But it shows that you're reaching out. It
Yes.
really does. And impressions.
And it's
What
heartfelt.
it means to you.
Yes.
Heartfelt all the way through, Jim. Heartfelt all the way
So
through.
thank you, Fran. I do
Yes, it
appreciate
was lovely,
that.
Fran. And I know you do. I know you love all that. I said to Jim, what we'd like to do is bring some funny stuff to you. And the only reason why I'm sharing this is because I received it yesterday from our Virginia Spencer.
Oh, Virginia, we love you.
Virginia, you're a doll. We love you and adore you. She keeps me going.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She's
I
such
will-
a motivator of
She
people.
really is. And I'm so grateful for her in my life and our
Thank you,
lives.
yes, Virginia. Thank you for all
So
you do
what she
for us.
does, yes, she brings delight, and she sent me this email yesterday. Not just to me, she sent it to everybody, and just to make you put a smile on your
Yes,
face.
let's-
Hey, there we go.
let's
Lasting
hear it.
impressions. Please join me in remembering a great icon of the entertainment community. The Pillsbury Doughboy died yesterday of a yeast infection and trauma complications from being repeatedly poked in the belly. He was 71.
Oh.
Doughboy was buried in a lightly greased coffin. Dozens of celebrities turned out to pay their respects, including Mrs. Butterworth, Hungry Jack, the California Raisins, Betty Crocker, the Hostess Twinkies, and Captain Crunch. The gravesite was piled high with flowers. Aunt Jemima delivered the eulogy
Oh, my
and lovingly
goodness.
described Doughboy as a man who never knew how much he was needed.
K-N-E-A-D-E-D.
Born and bred in Minnesota, Doughboy rose quickly in the show business, but his later life was filled with turnovers.
Oh, wow.
He was not considered a very smart cookie, waiting much of his dough on half-baked schemes. Despite being a little flaky at times, he lived to be a crusty old man and was considered a positive role model for millions. Doughboy is survived by his wife Plato,
Play-Doh.
3 children, John Doe and Jane Doe, and Dozy Doe, plus they had one in the oven. He is also survived by his elderly father, Pop-Tart. The funeral was held at 3:50 for about 20 minutes. P.S. If this made you smile for even a brief second, please rise to the occasion and take time to pass it on and share that smile with someone else who may be having a crummy day and needs a lift.
K-N-E-A-D.
Isn't that
Needs,
adorable?
yes.
Yes, needs.
Thank you for sharing that with
K-N-E-A-D-S.
us.
And I saw that and
That
I had
had
to
us make
print it
everybody
out.
smile.
There you go. Now remember that. Thank you again, Virginia. Okay.
And what a difference a day makes.
What a difference a day makes. The best feeling of happiness is when we make you happy because you make us happy, make somebody else happy. We love being with you. We hope that today brings you many, many blessings and
Yes.
all the blessings that you deserve. We really do. And always remember to keep your horizons bright, but what a difference a day makes.
We're blessed because we're here with you. I'm blessed here with Deb.
Amen.
We're blessed to have each other, so there are many blessings.
So
We're going to sing
wonderful.
what a difference a day makes.
What a difference a day makes.
24
24 little hours brought the sun and the flowers where there used to be rain. What a difference a day makes. And the difference is you and you and you. As we say, you better believe you make a difference in our lives, and we really hope we made a difference in your lives. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yes, and we're going to have some special guests.
Yes.
So we'll love to have that time with you again.
Thanks for tuning in. We love you all. Mwah.
And we want you to keep your horizons bright.
Always